Welcome to Hollywood Bulletin, where we take you deep behind the scenes of television's most unforgettable icons. Today, we're telling the true, powerful, and deeply emotional story of Dan Blocker, the beloved actor behind Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. For over a decade, Blocker captured hearts with his gentle demeanor and towering presence, but behind the scenes, his life was filled with struggle, triumph, and a legacy that goes far beyond the Ponderosa Ranch. Born Bobby Dan Davis Blocker in 1928 in DeKalb, Texas, he weighed a staggering 14 pounds at birth, a sign he was destined for something big. Growing up in the small town of O'Donnell, Texas, Dan was known for his strength, earning the nickname the Big 'Un and towering over others by the age of 12. He attended Texas Military Institute and later Sul Ross State University on a football scholarship, but a chance encounter with the theater department changed the course of his life forever. What began as a favor moving stage props turned into a passion for acting. After a brief stint pursuing a Broadway career, he was drafted into the Army and sent to Korea, where he served with distinction, earning a Purple Heart for bravery under fire during the grueling battles of Pork Chop Hill. These wartime experiences shaped him, turning him into a man who despised violence and advocated for peace. Returning home, he married his college sweetheart Dolphia Parker and moved to California to pursue his doctorate. But once again, fate intervened. His towering figure and southern charm caught the eye of casting agents, and soon he began landing small roles in westerns like Gunsmoke, The Rifleman, and Maverick. Then, in 1959, came the role that would define his career, Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. As the kind-hearted middle son of the Cartwright family, Blocker brought warmth, innocence, and a strong moral compass to the screen. The character of Hoss wasn't just a fan favorite, he was a reflection of Dan himself. Off-screen, Dan was highly educated, holding a master's degree in theater and deeply engaged in issues of justice and equality. He formed close friendships with his co-stars Lorne Greene and Michael Landon and even served as Landon's best man at his wedding. Despite the fame, Blocker remained grounded and eventually sought refuge from Hollywood's glare by moving his family to Switzerland, where he found peace and privacy. Yet, even far from the spotlight, he stayed committed to Bonanza, flying back to the U.S. for filming. But the years took a toll, his legendary appetite, often starting the day with a dozen eggs and multiple loaves of bread, began to affect his health. After undergoing what should have been a routine gallbladder surgery in 1972, Dan tragically died from a pulmonary embolism at just 43. His death devastated fans and colleagues alike. The show that once brought so much joy suddenly faced an impossible void. Rather than recast or ignore Hoss's absence, the producers led by Michael Landon chose a subtle tribute, allowing the silence and grief to speak louder than words. Viewers and cast members alike mourned the gentle giant who had become a staple in their lives. Blocker's legacy didn't end with his death. His son, Dirk Blocker, grew up witnessing both the magic and the burden of his father's fame. Though he followed Dan into acting, Dirk chose the quieter path of a character actor, avoiding the intense spotlight his father had once known. In later interviews, Dirk confirmed what many had long suspected: his father's fame came at a cost. Dan had struggled with the constant attention, longing for a simpler life. Despite his success, he never forgot his roots or the values he lived by. Whether it was standing up against racial discrimination during a filming trip to the segregated South or speaking out against war after serving on the front lines, Dan Blocker was a man of substance, not just a star. He used his fame not for self-promotion, but to protect and uplift others. Even in death, myths surrounded him, like the widely circulated story that he was buried in a piano box due to his size. In reality, Dan was laid to rest in a standard casket in Santa Monica. The story is just one of many legends that have grown around a man whose presence was as large in life as in memory. After his passing, Bonanza struggled to regain its momentum. Moved to a less favorable time slot, and without the heart that Hoss brought to the show, ratings fell. The series was canceled in 1973, ending a 14-season run that had helped define American television. To this day, Dan Blocker remains a symbol of genuine goodness in Hollywood, a man who balanced fame with humility, strength with kindness, and public recognition with private integrity. His son's heartfelt reflections serve as a final reminder that behind the smiles and screen performances, Dan Blocker was a devoted father, a principled man, and an unforgettable figure whose spirit lives on through the stories we continue to tell. Thank you for joining us on Hollywood Bulletin. If you found this journey into Dan Blocker's remarkable life moving, be sure to like, share, comment below with your favorite Hoss Cartwright moment, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story from the golden age of television.